the gunman had been shot and killed by police. That's what the police statement said. That's what our police sources said. And then the story changed, and it turned out that your son, your 21-year-old son, who has no criminal record, was the person who was shot and killed, and the gunman is still on the loose. What have police told you about this horrible mistake?
They haven't told me anything yet. Nobody has responded. You know, we hadn't got no calls and no apology. Nothing has been told to us what happened, what transpired, and led up to this point.
Mr. Bradford, the police, in this horrible, tragic case of mistaken identity, have not reached out to you, his family?
No, not at all.
Ms. Pipkins, how do you think, you're holding a picture there of your son. We've seen him, we've seen how handsome he was. Obviously, he went into the Army. He was described by everybody as just being a helpful person, wanting to help others. How do you explain what happened in that mall?
I know that was the day that they took my son from me, and my Thanksgiving will never be the same. I'll never be able to see my son's face again, or to look into his eyes, or to hear him say, "Mom, I love you, Mom, love you," and hug on me and kiss on me, you know. And like his father has said, no one has even reached out to us in any type of way. So my Thanksgiving will never be the same, because that's just the you know, when I lost my son, and you know, not knowing, not even knowing if I'll be able to have an open casket, you know, to see him again. I'm just at a loss of words right now.
Understood. Mr. Crump, this is horrible. I mean, this is just a horrible tragedy, and the idea that the police wouldn't reach out to the family to try to explain themselves, but maybe it's that in the seconds, in the chaotic seconds after a gunman opened fire on shoppers in a crowded mall, they showed up, and I think that what their story is now was that EJ had a gun himself, and they thought that he was brandishing a gun and that he was the gunman. Can it be an innocent case of mistaken identity?
Well, it's awfully ironic that they're asking for this family to give them the benefit of the doubt, the benefit of consideration, Allison, even though they didn't give E.J. Bradford the benefit of the doubt and consideration when this off-duty police officer who was doing private security for the Galleria Mall pulled the trigger, we believe, unjustifiably. Several witnesses have reached out to us and said it was in milliseconds. He offered no verbal commands. He didn't say freeze, police, anything. He just saw a young black man with a gun and he shot. Witnesses say EJ was helping them. A young lady said EJ saved her life and helped several others, reached out to the family. So he was a good guy with a gun. But this notion of good guy with a gun trying to stop the bad guys with guns doing these mass shootings, where if you happen to be black, the police see you as a criminal, and they shoot and kill you. That has been shown in Jamel Robinson in Chicago, now here in Birmingham, Alabama, which is the epicenter of the civil rights movement, that it doesn't matter if you're a good guy with a gun. If you're black, the police shoot and kill you and ask questions later.
Mr. Crump, is it your understanding, from what you've been able to find out about what happened during that chaotic moment, that many people in the mall were carrying guns that day and took their guns out as the good guys to try to stop the bad guy, or was it just EJ?
Well, we understand now that there was a shooting before this, and after they shot EJ, witnesses have said there was more shooting. So this would have suggested to the police that EJ was not the person who shot the gun if they're still shooting afterwards. But very important, the video tells us everything, Allison, to heal this community and give trust to this family and sever in the community. What the police should do, what the family is demanding, is release the video. You don't need to say no more. Release the video, because they don't trust the police department because they've already lied to them and pulled the trigger. And the Hoover Police Department pulled the trigger and released his picture all over the world, saying that he was a shooter, and they said the officer was a hero. Can you imagine how that made these parents feel?
No.
They knew their child.
I can't.
Who they raised.
And so, Mr. Bradford, you also, it should be said, are 25 years a correctional officer. You're in law enforcement. You know police and are friends with them in this area. So have you asked them for the video? And have you asked them why they're not reaching out to your family and making some sort of compensation to you?
You called in.
No, I haven't, because I think that's just showing respect for another person, regardless of where I worked or how long I worked there. You should just obviously do that to a parent and let that parent know, hey, my condolences, I'm sorry, we made a mistake. That's all I wanted to say. You know, just come out and call me, his mother, and say, hey, Ms. Bradford, can we sit down and have a talk? And then I'll talk to you. But my thing is, you show me lack of respect, his mother lack of respect, my son lack of respect, because you allowed him to lay there in the mall with his bleeding out. You never covered him up. You got people putting stuff all on Facebook, you know, social media. My son's brains blowed out, and his grandmother couldn't take it. She almost passed out yesterday. And, you know, you covered my son's body up. You just let him lay there in the open, and everybody was just taking pictures and videos. So, you know, that's disrespectful. And it hurts me as a father, and it hurts me as a person that had worked so long for law enforcement, and just to get that disrespect. That's disrespect totally across the board.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Bradford and Ms. Pipkins, Benjamin Crump, you are not asking for anything unreasonable. You are asking for the common decency of a phone call to understand what happened in that mall and why your 21-year-old son was killed. Obviously, we will stay on the story. We will wait for the video to be released and the rest of the pieces to come together here. We're so sorry for your loss. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you, Alice.